from Sunset Field on the campus of the University of Arizona in Tucson, KHNL presents the NCAA West Regional Baseball Tournament. Today, it's the Lions of Southeastern Louisiana against the 10th-ranked Rainbows of Hawaii. Aya ku'u mau mana'o me oi. How you doing, everybody? This is Pal Eldridge with Dr. Ron Reynolds. Welcome you from Tucson, Arizona, the Frank Sunset Field on the campus of the University of Arizona. Now, Ron, what's been the atmosphere the last couple of days? You've been here for 2 days. What's going on?
Well, you know, I've seen the players. We came to practice yesterday. I've talked to the coaches. There's a sense of quiet confidence. They've been in big games before. They told me it's just a different field than Rainbow Stadium, but the same mood, the same sort of temperament. You're not going to see a lot of rah-rah-ree, just a typical same Rainbow team that you've seen all year.
So the stage has been set. This is what the Rainbows have worked for all season long. Now we'll be back with the starting lineups after these messages.
Just to let the groundskeeper know, 2 minutes for final preparation of the field. That's what you have, 2 minutes. Now we can go inside to the starting lineups. First for the visiting Lions of Southeastern Louisiana. Leading off is one of the right field, number 15, Troy Longzone. Longzone, right field. And second, the center fielder, number 7, Ray Ferend. Ferend, center field. And third, the third baseman, number 14, Ray Elliott.
Welcome back to Tucson, Frank Sunset Field on the campus of the University of Arizona. Now, before the game, Ronnie had an opportunity to interview Coach Les Murakami about his feelings here at the regional. And here's what Coach Murakami had to say.
3 years ago, Coach, you said that you wanted to come back. Is this the team or the type of team that you envisioned that you wanted to bring back when you said this in 1989?
Well, this is a lot better team than we brought back in '89. You know, in '89, when we brought that team over, it was such a young team, and actually we kind of snuck into the regional. This year, we earned the regional, and if there's any team that we have a chance to go all the way with, it's this team.
You also had mentioned that it's a good traveling team, that they travel well, they're very matured. Has this trip been going according to schedule, according to plan?
So far, it has. You know, we've practiced well, and we've done everything well. It's just a matter of whether we'll play well or not.
And finally, Coach, everyone is wondering at home in Hawaii, the keys that you think you'll need to win the tournament and maybe move on to Omaha.
Well, for one thing, the keys are not to make mistakes, of course. The pitching got to be one of the big keys for us. If our pitching holds up and we play great defense, I think we'll win. You know, this field here, you got to play some defense, and of course you need some hitting, but the key is pitching and defense.
Well, Ronnie, now, when you get to this level, it's like a pyramid, so that the higher you go on the pyramid, then the more competition there is and the better competition there is. So I think the keys, I agree with Coach Murakami that pitching is a key. It's always a key, but I also think that total team play, your base running, the defense, as well as your hitting. For example, in the Western Athletic Conference, you may be able to get into a game and your pitching may not be quite up to par, yet your hitting is, and you can still squeak by with the win. And it could work the other way around. But in this kind of tournament with this level of competition, I really believe that you have to have a total game to be successful.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, at this level, little things become amplified. Sometimes what happens is you say, well, one play doesn't make a difference in the game, but I agree, pal. At this level, a base running area. You don't tag up when you're supposed to. You don't take that extra base, a pass ball. Little things like that can be amplified and perhaps even cost you the game.
Well, a good example is a previous game won by Pepperdine in extra innings, 5-4. In the second inning, there was a base running mistake that Fresno State made. They actually got away with it on a bad throw by Pepperdine, and that same runner made another mistake a little bit later, and he didn't get away with it. There were 3 base running mistakes to my knowledge in that game, and look, it goes into extra innings. It wouldn't have had Fresno State executed their base running the way they're supposed to, and they would have gone on and win the game. I also think that pitching in this particular game is a real key. Of course, Hawaii is going with their ace, Scott Carl. Now, you know, throughout the week when Scott Carl was announced as the starting pitcher, you know, people were saying, hey, I don't think they should start Scott Carl. Well, I frankly disagreed with all of that, and the reason is that this is the big tournament. I mean, you do not want to go out of the loser's bracket in this first day. And also, when you get a team like Southeastern Louisiana, they always have one good pitcher, and we have Kurt Bullinger today. That is a good pitcher.
Yeah, you know, and he's their bulldog. As you said, and we've talked about before, he went through the tournament and pitched 2 games in a span of 3.5 days. So he's a bulldog. And a team like this that you don't know a whole lot about, they're hungry. They come into a situation where they're playing a team that's on TV as much as the Bows are. They're a high visibility team. It's kind of a spooky team to play because it's an unknown quantity. And sometimes those are the teams that give you the toughest games.
Well, Kurt Bullinger now on the 8th of May pitched against Florida International in the first game of the Trans-America Conference Tournament. He pitched a 1-hit shutout. Now, this is on Friday. Saturday, the first day, this first game, they play Centenary and they lose. Now, they have to play another game against Florida International. They beat them, so Florida International is out. Then they have to play Centenary the next day, Sunday, and they win the first game. So who pitches a complete game, the last game of the tournament, but Bullinger? So in a period of 36 hours, Kurt Bullinger pitches 2 complete games. That's 18 innings. So we're looking at a guy with a tireless arm, so to speak. And you know, he's a guy that doesn't have a lot of velocity, but apparently has a lot of movement on the ball. He's a sinkered ball type of pitcher. And then you have a guy like Scott Carl now, who's been so consistent all year, able to get all 4 pitches he has in his repertoire over at any period of time. So I think if Bullinger is on, that this is going to be a very close game. Now, if Bullinger is not on, and several people have told us this, you can kiss it goodbye because their bullpen is brutal.
Yeah, you know, they've hit the ball well of late, but they haven't played since the 10th of May. So they've been away. And if you look at the 2 teams here, batting averages, you know, Hawaii and Southeastern Louisiana are very close, 2 points difference. In home runs, you see a big difference in Southern Louisiana's favor. Steal attempts, this team likes to run. They can run real well. Mélenchon, their right fielder, is a guy to steal every time he gets on the base path. Pitching, as you can see, our strikeouts fairly close. Walk, lot closer there than really you see here. But the ERA, there's the key in the pitching, and that's what you're talking about, pal. Where the ERA on Southeastern Louisiana is 5.25 versus Hawaii, which is a solid 3.00.
Well, some obvious things here. I mean, look at the difference in home runs, but that could be a little deceiving, seeing as how the Rainbows play most of the game back at Rainbow Stadium. Look at the steal attempts, though. 160 steal attempts, so these guys like to run. They also like to hit and run. But I think one of the telltale signs of this game, you know, could possibly be this ERA with Hawaii versus Southeastern Louisiana. Not a real good team ERA. Now, before the game, Ronnie also spoke to the head coach of the Lions, Greg Martin, about the type of season they had, and here's what Coach Martin had to say.
Going into the season, we played very well at the beginning of the season for the first 15 games or so, and we got into a rut. After that point, we stayed in it for about 2 or 3 weeks, and we struggled. We played right at 500 ball for about 2 or 3 weeks, and towards the end of the season, last month of the season, we finally turned it around and we played very well the last month of the season.
You hit the ball real well. You hit 320 as a team. You're just a nice-looking team. You play good defense. Again, what are your expectations for this tournament? You're feeling good about coming into the tournament as a number 5 seed against Hawaii?
Well, coming in as a number 5 seed, I don't know if that's good or bad, you know, because by looking at Hawaii, the club that y'all have, that's y'all very easily could be a number 1 seed according to, you know, what I've read. But it's a compliment being a number 5 seed, you know, especially them sending us this far out. About our team, I feel good about it right now because of the fact that we played very well the last half of the season. We have been very good offensively all year. We haven't struggled much offensively, but we have struggled on the mound a little bit the last, well, not the last couple of weeks, but right before that. We've been very inconsistent,
Well, I wish you well, and it's nice meeting you, and good luck today.
Well, thank you very much. I know you're not pulling for us, though, huh?
Well, as the umpires meet with the coaches at home plate, the Bows are ready to take the field. I think one of the interesting things, Ronnie, about being in a regional, especially against a team like Southeastern Louisiana, is that we've never seen these guys before. I mean, it is just so thrilling and interesting to me to talk to some of these people because, let's face it, I mean, their way of speaking is something that you see in movies all the time back home in Honolulu. But, here we are. This is real life stuff. I mean, apparently they have one of the fathers of a senior who follows them wherever they go. He got his big pot and his ladles, and he, wherever the team goes, he goes there and he brings some spices back with him from Louisiana. He goes to the market, and so they got home cooking wherever they go because of this man. He's an excellent chef, according to the people here. Bulls are taking the field. Starting at first base, Billy B. Bill Blanchette. At second base, Corey Ishigo. The shortstop, as usual, Radley Vollmer. And at the hot corner, Scott Craven. The left fielder, Harold Kabab. Now, there was a switch. Kabab was starting in right field in the first lineup that was given to us. And center field, you have Double D, Dwayne Daughtry. And in right field, Sean Rogers. Catching this afternoon is Kenny Harrison. And pitching, the ace of the Hawaii staff, Scott Carl. 13-2 record, very good ERA. And again, Ronnie, one of the advantages that Scott Carl has is that he has a fastball, a curve, a slider, and a straight change. He occasionally uses all of them and can throw them at any time. But sometimes when he gets on a roll, especially using the slider as his out pitch, a strikeout pitch, that he'll pretty much stay with that pitch for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, pal, in that game in New Mexico when he went into the ninth inning with a no-hitter, Kenny Harrison made the comment that, his slider was working. And he says when that pitch is working, he's darn near unhittable.
It's nasty. He'll start it off at the middle of the plate, and then it'll break to the back foot of a right-handed hitter, making it virtually impossible to hit. Even if he had a tennis racket, you'd probably have a difficult time to hit.
And here's the batting order for the Southeastern Louisiana Lions. Batting first, playing right field, number 15, Troy Mélenchon. In center field, batting second, Ray Ferran. Batting third, playing third base, Greg Elliott. Chris Finley batting cleanup, playing first base. Scott Tribble, the left fielder, bats fifth. Chat Anderson, the DH. Kylie Hughes, the shortstop. At second base, batting eighth, it's Johnny Castanon. And catching, Drew Nettles, batting ninth.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I really like your French pronunciation, my friend. You did a pretty good job.
Especially, I took only Latin at the
Yeah.
I didn't take French. That's pretty good,
Well, I was going to say your French teacher would be very proud of you.
Well, you gave me the lesson before, so that credit should go to you.
Well, Troy Melanson will lead off for Southeast Louisiana. Melanson is the right fielder. Now, in the Trans-America tournament, Melanson had a 720 on-base average. That pitch by Scott Carl is up high. 720. He was on base 18 out of the 25 at-bats that he had. And he's hit safely in 8 out of his last 9 games. A hefty batting average for the season. And there's a fastball in the inside corner for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. So I'm certainly glad that the weather is cleared up for today to allow us to play this ball game in brilliant sunshine here in Tucson. Fastball outside high, 2-1.
Pal, I think we should mention that the batter, Troy Mélenchon, is a nursing student. And
Gee, I think that's the first time I've ever heard of a nursing student being a baseball player.
And their curricula is so intense And to be able to play Division I baseball and have a nursing, you know, curricula academically, that really says something about this young man.
And the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Lanson is a senior, and he protects the plate well, but it goes foul just beyond the reach of Billy B. Now, I'd like to say hello to our good buddy and compadre, brother back home, Jim Leahy. I want to say give our best to brother Jim from here in Tucson. Hope everything's going okay and that we miss you, big guy.
Say aloha to the big guy too from Ronnie.
So the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Outfield, as usual, playing relatively straight away for most batters. A high fastball. That's hit foul down the right field side, just over the fence in the first base line.
You know, pal, when we came in, we had a good shot of the field there down the right field line. I mean, I noticed that the foul territory it seems to be a little bit larger, wider, I should say, than Rainbow Stadium, and the pitching mounds are in foul territory. Would that pose a problem, you think, for like a left fielder or right fielder? Are they conscious of that if they haven't seen that like during the regular season, or is it just another you know, another part of the park?
I do think it will be a problem. I mean, the only thing is whether a ball ever gets hit over there, because you can go for games without seeing that. Then again, you could go in one game, you could see 3 or 4.
In talking about the park, the dimensions, 360 down the lines. Back home, we're a little bit shorter than that. So this is really not a small park.
No, it's not a small park. 400 in right center field alleys, and we think about 420 in center, 410 in center field. It isn't perfectly symmetrical. It seems to be coming in a little bit in center field. So we're guessing about 410. But no, it's not a small ballpark. But balls seem to be flying out of here. And there's a high curveball. Good plate discipline shown by Troy Melanson. Full count. Now, every once in a while, you see Scott Carl go to a full count on the first batter. But a pretty good at bat here for the leadoff hitter. And there's ball 4. So good quality at bat by leadoff hitter Troy Melanson. Gets the first walk of the game. That'll bring up the number 2 hitter in the order, Ray Ferran. Just watching them play and take infield and things, I think this is a pretty scrappy ball club. I think they know that they may be overmatched talent-wise, but I think they're going to go right after it. And there's a strike, a fake bunt by Ferran. Yeah. Remember, we were talking earlier about the fact that these guys like to run. Now, whether they're going to be running no outs, you just never know. I mean, that's something 20 years ago you rarely saw somebody start with no outs, but that seems to be becoming one of the plays of vogue recently. Good block by Kenny Harrison.
Yeah, the Lions won't come in here and be intimidated. They play in the hotbed of baseball. They thought they were going to go to the Louisiana regional. They were surprised that they came out west. So they're around a lot of good ball teams in that area.
Now, we mentioned in the opening, you know, we have 3 nationally ranked teams here: Pepperdine, Arizona, as well as Hawaii. You know, and even some polls, you see Fresno State in there. Well, that was a pretty good game. Really, really hotly contested game last game. Again, if you just joined us, we're in the top of the first inning. We were delayed about a half hour because the previous game, won by Pepperdine over Fresno State, went into 10 innings. Won by Pepperdine on a last inning base hit. So Carl takes his stretch in 1 and 2, and there's a ground ball. Craven can't come up with the play. Ferran is safe at first base. So 2 up and 2 on for the Lions. And when you look at this, Ronnie, I think Craven took a little bit short of an angle on this.
Yeah, he did, and he might have taken his eyes off it, or the sun is a factor. I'm not sure, because he kind of looked up and watched his head kind of be away from where the ball is. He thought he had it.
And here's Greg Elliott, the third baseman. So a little bit of trouble for Scott Carl here in the top of the first. And there's a strike. So far, it looks as Scott Carl is a little bit up in the strike zone. Just about every pitch he's thrown has been above where he usually throws them. He's usually a pretty good control pitcher in the lower part of the zone. I mean, you don't get to have the record he has by keeping balls up in the heart of the plate. There's strike two. And oftentimes when he gets ahead of left-handers like this, you may see a fastball off of the plate. You know, the Rainbow pitchers and catchers like to do that 0-2. You can see Kenny Harrison go outside. There he goes. And now I'm thinking curveball right here. This is, you know, if he has his curveball working, and he does seem to have it working. He hasn't thrown it for a strike yet, but as far as the break is concerned, he's got good rotation on the ball. That it could be very, very difficult for a left-hander to hit. So there's that move that fools absolutely no one. What it does do, though, is it makes a runner at second base commit himself one way or the other. Melanson wasn't going anywhere. Ground ball, base hit in the right field. Melanson comes around third. He'll try to score. The throw by Kabab, not in time. 1-0, Southeast Louisiana. On that play, Ferran ends up at third base. So the Lions now have runners at first and third, no outs.
And as we see Greg Elliott, he rips this thing right between first and second. There's no chance here for Sean Rogers to throw Melanchon out at the plate. He just runs too well, as you see the throw up the line and away from the plate.
Well, I did say Kabab in right field. I erred, of course. It's Sean Rogers in right field. They made the switch. I made it on my book, not in my mind. So here's the cleanup hitter, Chris Finley. Curveball for a strike. You can tell that this is an aggressive team just by the way they take their swings. Melanson had a great at bat, works it for a walk, ends up scoring the first run. And good protecting of the plate by Greg Elliott. It's a pick, fairly close at first. Count is 0-1.
And they seem very disciplined at the plate. They swing at what appears to be, you know, strikes. They're not chasing pitches. I think you're right. I think if Scott Carr would have come in with a curveball on that pitch, he might have, you know, fooled the batter a little bit. He came in with a fastball instead.
And that just misses. 1-1. There's got to be 20 scouts here, all sitting behind home plate.
And they all know you. When you walk into the stadium, everyone says, "Hi, pal, how are you?"
Well, after you've been doing it for a while, you know, you kind of know everybody. See, my problem is that they always change when they come over to Honolulu, so I don't see a guy for 3 or 4 years and I forget their name. And I go, "Hi,
Well,
then they eventually reintroduce themselves, and I'll still forget their name next time. Now, if they had a number on their back, I'd never forget that. Count is 1-1. Swing and a miss. Nice block by Kenny H. 1 ball and 2 strikes, no outs. Top of the first inning, 1-0 in favor of Southeastern Louisiana. Very difficult to say whether Scott Carl is at the top of his game. I mean, after all, this is only the 4th hitter. And I think we've got to wait until the 3rd or 4th inning. That ground ball fielded by Carl. No, it isn't. Goes right through him. No play anywhere by Scott Craven. So I believe they'll give that a single. We'll have to wait and see. Yes, they give that a base hit. The third base hit in this inning off of Scott Carl. And Ferran comes in to score. 2-0 now, no outs.
Scott just misplays this thing and it traps it on the ground, so Scott Craven doesn't have a play at all as we see Ray Ferran crossing the plate with their second run.
Scott Tribble will step in. 2-0 now, top of the first. Runners at first and second with no one out. So the Bows need an out here, preferably of the ground ball variety, double play.
Pal, do you see anything different that Scott Carl's doing? And do these guys just swinging the bat a little bit better, or just like
No, I mean, they have
fluke plays, little choppers?
Yeah, just as it happens in the game so often. You know, they haven't hit the ball hard yet. But they've got 2 infield hits and one that dribbled kind of, you know, through the outfield. Here's another dribbler fielded by Carl. His only play is the first base. On the play, both runners move up. So at least Carl gets the first out of the inning. And that'll bring up Chad Anderson, the designated hitter. Anderson bats in the 6th spot. So again, 3 hits, 2 of the infield variety, and one that got through into right field between the first baseman and second baseman. But all of a sudden, it's 2-zip. Scott Carl in trouble. Still has runners at second and third in the personage of Elliott at third and Chris Finley at second. Their curveball is up. So Scott Carl needs to compose himself, get the ball down a little bit in the zone. Rainbow infield playing at halfway depth. Ball 2, fastball outside. Already activity in the Hawaii bullpen. Jay Holland and Eugene Myers begin to play soft toss. And there's 3 balls. You know, these runners on base are very important. I mean, going into the bottom of the inning with just a 2-0 deficit doesn't seem all that bad. But boy, when you get 4 runs, if this guy gets a base hit, and there's a strike. Now that's a Scott Carl that we have seen all year, getting that fastball down in the zone.
And you're right, pal, because Bullinger, you know, if he gets any kind of a lead, if he's on today, it'll be a big mountain for the Bulls to climb.
Ground ball up the middle to Ishigo. His only play is to first base to get Anderson. So the 3rd run by Greg Elliott crosses home plate. An RBI ground ball by Chad Anderson. So Chris Finley is still at 3rd base.
Now batting the shortstop, number 2, Kylie.
Batter is Kylie Hughes, the shortstop. Well, I'll tell you, this is rather shocking. I mean, again, there hasn't been one ball hit hard. I mean, a 3-0 score, you'd expect 1 or 2 doubles or maybe even a big one, but not 3 base hits. 2 of them in the infield and 1 that sneaks through. And there's a ground ball, base hit up the middle, 4-0.
And the ground balls that they've hit, pal, have found holes. That ball was right up the middle between Vollmer and Corey Shigo. And the other base hit by Ray Ferran went between Corey Shigo and Bill Blanchette at first base.
Well, when you take a look at the contact point right there, Kylie Hughes hit a fastball that was belt high. So again, we've got to reiterate that Scott Carl has got to get the ball down in the zone. And here's Johnny Castanon. That's ball 1. You know, I'm sure it's pretty discouraging for Scott Carl as well. I mean, he's up there, he's throwing his heart out, and balls keep sneaking through. And there's another weakly hit ground ball. This time it's foul. So Carl ahead of Castanon. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now Castanon is the guy that people have been raving about his fielding ability. What did you say before the game, partner? That
5 errors.
5 errors the entire year?
The whole year. And he's had a few chances at second base. He's got great range, he's got a good arm. That's incredible when you think about it. 5 errors for a whole season at this level, playing 60 ball games.
Right. Carl has to pitch carefully here because the way these guys have been. There's another base hit into right field. Kylie Hughes holds up at second base. Now again, Scott Carl not exhibiting the control that's necessary. And Carl Furutani will pay a visit. This is a 1-2 pitch right here. See where it is? It's too near the plate, and it's hittable, perfectly hittable.
What's also interesting, pal, is, you know, these guys hit a lot of home runs, but they go with the pitch real well, too. They don't try to force stuff, and like BYU, for example, how Brigham Young tries to just hit everything over the left field fence. These guys will go to the outside pitch and try to slap it to right field.
And that's a second 1-2 count that they've gone into and gotten base hits from.
You think he should be changing his pitch selection on 1 and 2? He seems like he's come with a fastball on 1 and 2. That's 2 times in a row now. You're right.
Well, it probably means that, but I don't know whether Kenny Harrison is calling him or he's looking over to the dugout. You know, once in a while I think the calls are from the dugout, but I'm uncertain at this point whether Kenny is getting him from the dugout or he's calling it himself. But you know, it really, this is what another thing about the game. I mean, right now those pitches could be getting people out. I mean, these are not well hit balls here.
And he's thrown 31 pitches already, pal.
And Drew Nettles is the batter. There's a curveball for a strike. Again, it was a little bit up. Nettles is the 9th batter to come to the plate this inning. So right here, Southeastern Louisiana comes in and really grabs the Rainbows by the neck, throws them down and says, hey, we don't really care about your national ranking. We're here to play ball, and they're certainly doing that. But if the Rainbows can use their offensive power that they've shown all year, there's another strike, a curveball. You know, 4 runs is not insurmountable. Count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. Carl gets him for his first strikeout, but a lot of damage done in the top of the first inning. 4 runs on 5 base hits, and as we move to the bottom of the first, 4-0 Lions.
For most kids, the weekend means having fun.
They're here.
For some, it means the possibility of having a family. Host an older child in foster care for weekend visits and become what they so desperately need, a friend to help them find a permanent family. To be part of Weekend Miracles, visit kidsave.org today.
Finley is at first base. Johnny Castanon is at second. The shortstop, Kylie Hughes. And at third base, Greg Elliott. Scott Tribble's a left fielder. Center field will be patrolled by Ray Ferrand and the right fielder Troy Melanson. Catching is Drew Nettles, and the pitcher Kirk Bullinger, 9-4 record on the year. And again, this is the guy that pitched 2 complete games in a 36-hour period just a few weeks ago to win the tournament, the Trans-American Conference, excuse me. So we'll see what the Bows can do as they take their turn at the bat this bottom of the first inning. Double D, Dwayne Daughtry will lead off. He'll be followed by Harold Kabav.
Billy Blanchette will bat third. Franz Ewan will be in the cleanup spot at the DH. Sean Rogers in left field batting 5th. Kenny Harrison catching. Randy Vollmer batting 7th, and shortstop Scotty Craven batting 8th, and batting 9th, second baseman Corey Ishigo.
Well, you can see by the arm action and the delivery of Bollinger that, you know, he's got that movement of the fastball. Definitely has a sinking action to it.
Kyle, when you evaluate a pitcher that you haven't seen before, but you've just read stuff or heard scouts talk about, what do you look at? You look at size, of course, but you look at his arm movement.
Boy, there's a lot of things you look at.
What do you look at first? And
First
what do you
thing
think
you
is
look
important?
at,
Yeah.
first thing you look at, I think, is arm action and delivery. Okay, then you look at velocity, then you look at movement, then you look at can he pitch. You know, look at the moxie in the mound. There is the sinker. The pitcher's out of the strike zones. We'll get a look at this pitch as in the outside low part of the plate, out of the strike zone.
And you know, that look, pal, a lot of sinker ball pitchers throw balls that are out of the strike zone. It requires a lot more discipline, I would think, than someone who's more a junk pitcher.
And Kabab is a batter. He loops one to the first baseman, who tags first for the second out. But what happens is he throws a ball that looks like it's in the strike zone, then it'll dip out of it. Like you saw that one to Daughtry as he struck out. So with 2 quick outs, the batter is Billy B. Now, what Billy will do is he'll extend his time at the plate, around the plate before he steps in. You can see him taking more time right now. Being the ball player that he is, he will allow that to happen so that he doesn't have his pitcher, Scott Carl, you know, in a matter of 4 pitches or 5 pitches, have to get back on the mound. You probably even take a strike. It's 1-0. So again, Blanchette stepping in. 4-0, Southeastern Louisiana. And there's a strike, just getting the lower extremity of the plate.
And you're right, pal. You know, I'm surprised, just as surprised as you are, as everyone else who's scouted both of these teams, thinking that this was going to be a lot closer than it is early right now. And the fact that Southeastern has jumped all over Scott Carl with even those little, you know, bloopers, if you wish, or trinkle hits that they have.
Well, Hawaii's got some power. I mean, especially in a field like that, like this that we're playing in, I mean. So they get a few guys on here, and anyone really is capable of hitting it out here. So I really feel this, you know, the big hit, obviously now down 4 runs is going to be very critical for Hawaii. Ground ball, base hit up the middle. The fielding attempt there by Castanon. I don't think he would have had to play at first base anyway.
And on that play, you know, he really shows the range that he has, pal. What Billy does is he hits this thing up the middle, and Johnny Castanon makes a good play. It almost looked like he was going to get through, but a backhand attempt here, and he knocks it down and keeps it in the infield.
And that'll bring up Franz Ewan. So the only right-handed hitter now, after Daughtry and Kabab, will be Vollmer and Craven. So 5 of the 9 batters. This is Coach Murakami's left-handed hitting lineup against the right-handed offerings of Bollinger. And so far, I like this guy. I mean, this is the kind of guy that can come in as a professional maybe and do a little short relief, maybe a little long relief. What's the one thing that you notice about relief pitchers in the big leagues? They always have one good pitch, always.
He kind of looks like a skinny Chuck Krim. Remember Chuck Krim? You know,
sure.
and he's a middleman now, up in the show. He's with the Angels now. He was with the Brewers in that trade where Fetters went to Milwaukee and Chuck Krim went to the Angels, and he sort of pitched this way.
Yeah, I think he threw a little harder, but I think the same kind of movement. Now, one of the ways that you're going to get back into the game off of Bollinger is not to take pitches like Frank just took a couple pitches ago. That was right down the middle of the plate to get him behind 0-2, and then there was ball 1 just now, so it's 1-2. Got to get on the board by attacking him. Swing and a miss. Catcher drops the ball, but takes an inside position and throws Ewan out at first base. So the first inning comes to a close. No runs, one base hit for Hawaii. No errors. And one man left on. We'll be back.
Help support original educational television in your community by becoming an underwriting partner with the Southeastern Channel. An underwriting sponsorship can be a valuable part of any marketing plan, as well as a way to support the most diverse educational programming available in Southeast Louisiana. Go online at selu.edu/TV or call 985-549-2418 to find out more about this unique promotional opportunity.
Our Bud Fact this afternoon is Hawaii's first round regional history, and you can see that overall there are 4-5. But Ronnie, what's a trend you notice there?
Well, in the last 3 years, they've lost that opening round game. Last year, losing to Minnesota in the West 1 region in Los Angeles, and the year before to Long Beach State, and the year before that to UCLA.
And that Long Beach State loss is right here at Sunset Field. And already, as the top of the second inning is upon us, Hawaii down 4-0 as Troy Melanson leads off, and he gets sawed and hits the ball to Ishigo, who flips in time to get Melanson at first base.
You know, and this is another type of hit than we've been seeing in the first inning. It's not hit real hard. It's just kind of a nuisance kind of a ball hitting the infield. I think that Ishigo makes a nice play here getting that throw to first base. But I think it's not time for the Bows to panic at all, pal. You know, I mean, they're not really hitting Carl over the park. If he can settle down, get down in the strike zone, and the Rainbows can scratch back and get a couple runs here and there, they're still in this thing.
And there's a curveball to Ray Ferran. Ferran got a base hit that Scott Craven went to his left and glove but couldn't come up with. So the count is 1-1 on that fastball. And I'll tell you, you know, when I was a senior, we played USC first game of the College World Series in Omaha. To get there, as you see the slider, 1-2, USC was behind 9-2 with 2 outs in the 9th inning. Bottom of the 9th inning, 2 outs against Los Angeles State. And they went on to win that game with 2 outs. So anything can happen. So nah, you're not too concerned over a 4-run lead.
Especially in college baseball. Especially in college baseball, because it's just such a wide open thing. I mean, gosh.
You know, it really does take a master pitcher to be able to go out there and exhibit command for 9 innings. And another sod. Little ground ball to Ishigo. I mean, 2 balls in a row now that Scott Carl has sawed the bats off. I mean, if this bat was made out of wood, there'd be sawdust lying at home plate now.
And it's the same kind of thing. It's hit out in front of the plate. It just kind of trickles out to Corey Ishigo, who again makes a real nice play to first base.
Now, one of the concerns I know is that we're playing on grass here. The Rainbows are on a grass field, and they have not played on many grass fields. As you look at Greg Elliott, so 1-0 the count to Elliott. Elliott in the 3rd spot. That's a pretty good swing right there. Now remember, Elliott is the guy that got one of the probably the only moderately solid base hit as he steered that one through the hole just to the right of Blanchette. I mean, the rest of the baseballs that were hit were not hit well at all. But you know, those seeing eye balls that get through count just as much as those line drives that everybody goes ooh and ah about. Hey, 4-0, what can you say? Curveball just misses. It's 2-1.
I mean, when they flash the score across the nation today, and you see at the end of 1 inning it's 4-0, they're not talking about what kind of hits they were. It's 4-0.
And speaking of national score.